नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेवा। आदि पराशक्ति माता की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। नमः शिवाभ्यां नवयौवनाभ्यां परस्पराश्लिष्टवपुर्धराभ्यां नागेन्द्रकन्या वृषकेतनाभ्यां नमो नमः शङ्कर पार्वतीभ्यां। कलाभ्यां चूडालङ्कृत शशिकलाभ्यां निजतपः फलाभ्यां भक्तेषु प्रकटितफलाभ्यां भवतु मे शिवाभ्याम् अस्तोकत्रिभुवन शिवाभ्यां हृदि पुनर्भवाभ्याम् आनन्दस्फुरत् अनुभवाभ्यां नतिरियम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत् स्मरणात् भवेत्। हर नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेवा। आदि पराशक्ति माता की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Paramashiva has blessed us all immensely today once again to be a part of this wonderful satsangam, to enjoy listening to the meaning of the shlokas in Shivananda Lahari, composed by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. In the 8th shloka, Sri Adi Shankaracharya says, Yatha बुद्धिशुक्तौ रजतमिति काचाश्मनि मणिः जले पैष्टे क्षीरं भवति मृगतृष्णासु सलिलम् तथा देवभ्रान्त्या भजति भवदन्यं जडजनो महादेवेशं त्वां मनसि च नमत्वा पशुपते। यथा बुद्धिशुक्तौ रजतमिति काचाश्मनि मणिः जले पैष्टे क्षीरं भजति मृगतृष्णासु सलिलम् तथा देवभ्रान्त्या भजति भवदन्यं जडजनो महादेवेशं त्वां मनसि जन मत्वा पशुपते. He says, Yatha buddhi, just as the intellect, Shuktau rajatam iti, considers the oyster shell, the shell which we find in the beach, to be silver. Kachashmani manihi, it considers the broken piece of glass to be a very precious gem. Jale paishte kshiram. The mind, the buddhi, the intellect considers the mixture of water and flour to be milk. Bhavati mrigatrishnasu salilam. Sometimes we might perceive a mirage to be a water body. All these are just Brahm, Maya, illusion. When we see an oyster shell in the beach, we collect it. We might have done it when we were very young. We might have collected all of it, thinking that it is very precious. Sometime in the future it might fetch us a lot of money. Someone else came and told us that this is not true. This is only a Brahm, this is only an illusion. They told us that this is only an oyster shell. This cannot be silver. The same way, we might find many pieces of glasses and we might consider that to be a very precious gem because even this is lustrous, even the broken piece of glass is lustrous and the gem is also lustrous. So we might misconceive the broken piece of glass to be that of a gem, a precious gem. We require someone to come and tell us that this is only a broken piece of glass. We need an expert opinion. Jale paishte kshiram. When we find water and flour mixed together, we conceive it to be milk. We assume it to be milk. This is also found in Mahabharata. Dronacharya didn't have money. He was not very well settled. He didn't have lot of dhanam with him. He was married to Kripi and he had Ashwathama as his son. Dronacharya didn't have money to buy milk and feed it to Ashwathama. So, his wife Kripi mixed flour and water and gave it to him as milk. Even he assumed it to be milk. He drank it happily. Looking at their plight, Dronacharya wanted to ask his friend Drupada some financial help. He only wanted 2 or 3 cows to run a happy life, to just feed his family. But Drupada insulted him. So Dronacharya wanted to take revenge. He became the Kulaguru of the prince of Hastinapur. He taught all the princes of Hastinapur. He became the Kulaguru, and as a Guru Dakshina, he wanted them to defeat King Drupada. None could defeat him except Arjuna, and in return, he defeated Drupada and he also got his kingdom. Dronacharya gave half of his kingdom to Drupada and he had half with him. So we all know this story from Mahabharatam, and this all started from a small point. Dronacharya wanted milk to feed Ashwathama, and Kripi was mixing flour with water and giving it to Ashwathama. So they wanted milk ultimately. So here, this misconception of milk and flour mixture, water and flour mixture to be that of milk was found even in Mahabharata. So, Jale Paishte Kshiram, this is a misconception, this is a bhram, this is an illusion. Jale Paishte Kshiram Bhavati Mrigatrishnasu Salilam. If we look at a mirage, we consider it to be an oasis, a water body. We run towards it, we drink water from it. We actually think that we drink water, but we are actually eating mud. So this is the bhram, this is the illusion that we have. So Adi Shankaracharya quotes all these illusions and he says that all these are bhram, maya, nothing but maya. But why do we find it to be so real? How is it so real? This is one feature of maya. In Maya Panchakam, Bhagavad Pada himself says, Aghatita Ghatanam Patiyasi Maya. Aghatita Ghatana Patiyasi Maya. Maya, illusion, makes one thing true, but it is actually not true. It might portray something which is true, but it is not true. It might show us something, it might project something and tell us that it is true. But we have to unveil this. We have to remove this curtain and say that it is not true. How can we find out which is truth and which is not truth? We have Sat, Asat. Sat is something which is always constant, which cannot be changed, which cannot be perceived, which cannot be destructed, which cannot be destroyed, which cannot be affected, which cannot be changed by place, time or person. That is the Paramatma Swarupa. So Sat, that which cannot be changed, which is Avyaktam, which is Achintyam, which is Aksharam, which cannot decay, which is permanently there, becomes Sat, and that is Paramatma, Brahman. What is Asat? The extreme opposite of Sat. Sat is always there, permanently there, but Asat is something which is never there. Asat is something which is never in existence. For example, a hare with 2 horns, or a barren woman with her child gives birth to a child. Barren woman having a child. So these are examples to say that we are imagining certain things, but that is not true. So this is never in existence. Sat is always there. Asat is never found. It is only an imagination. Now, everything which is not Sat and everything which is not Asat will become Mithya, Maya. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivaha Brahma Rupaha. In a shloka, Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahman, that Paramatma Tattvam is Satyam. Only that is Sat. Apart from it, Sat Vilakshanam and Asat Vilakshanam, everything becomes Mithya. And does this Mithya confine only to the 4 examples which Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada has given in this shloka? Is it 4? Is it 40? Is it 400? Is it 4,000? Is it 40,000? It is 4 lakh. Is it 4 crore? It pervades to the entire world. Jagan Mithya. He says Jagan Mithya. This entire world is only a Mithya, an illusion. It is only a subset, or it is only a reflection of the Paramatma Tattvam. What we see here is because of the light which Paramatma throws. If we are able to see everything around us, it is because the light is switched on. If we are able to see things outside, it is because it is daytime. If that is not there, then we will not be able to see anything. Or if we are able to see things, it is because we have vision, we have sight. How do we know that all these things are present if we don't have eyes, or if we don't have light, or if we don't have any other source to see it? All these are only projections. All these are only put in place. We all know a famous quote which says, all worlds are stage and all men are mere players. This is exactly what is given in our Shastra. It says Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. This entire world is a stage. It is only a drama which is kept in front of us, and Bhagavan just throws light on it. He has put us on this stage. He has asked us to play our role. He has asked us to just act. Aham yantro hrishikesha, tvam yantri kila keshava. I am just a mission, and the operator is Paramatma, Paramashiva. So we just have to play our roles here. So everything that we find around us is because He wants us to see these things, and it is just a play which He has set up in front of us. Nothing but a stage. But how is it so real? We are able to experience it. We are able to connect with it. How is it so real? When we sleep, we get dreams. That dream also seems to be very, very real. We might catch hold of someone. At that point of time, in real life, our hands will go like this. We might find something which is very shocking in the dream, and here we will be shivering in real life. We might hear a bad news in our dream, and we might cry here. Our bed sheets and pillows will be soaked in our tears. Sometimes we might get afraid of something. We might fall off a cliff in our dream, and ultimately we would have fallen from our bed here when we are sleeping. So even that dream is not real, but we experience it. We see that as a real thing which is happening. But when the dream vanishes, when someone wakes us up, or when we fall off the bed and we ourselves wake up, we realize that it was just a dream. We realize that it has got nothing to do with our life. In the same way, we have a dream in this life, and this life is itself a dream. So there's a dream in a dream. We have seen movies, Hollywood movies, and probably they have taken this concept from the concept that we are seeing right now. This is itself a dream. This is itself a Maya, an illusion. And in this illusion, we have a dream. And we find that to be real. So that dream vanishes, and we are shown what is true. In the same way, we experience everything here. We might find our laptops, our mobile phones, our chargers in front of us right now. We might have walls, doors, fridge, AC, television, many things. This list might go on forever. Everything around us. All these are just mithya, illusion. And how can we prove it? How can this entire world be a mithya? Illusion, Maya, Brahm, Sat or Asat. If it is neither Sat nor Asat, it becomes mithya. Let us take an example of a rope. A rope is there. A person thinks that it is snake and he gets afraid. Someone has to come and tell him that it is only a rope. That other person switches on the light, or he pulls that rope off and says that it is only a rope. So here, this jnana that we have, that it is snake, is not permanent. It is something which can be destroyed. It is something which can be perished. So it is not Sat. We have a knowledge that it is snake because we have seen snake somewhere else. So that means that it is not imaginary. That means that it is not unreal. So it is not asat. So one which is not sat, not asat, becomes a mithya. So this knowledge that it is a snake is mithya. One more example. This rope that we see is something which can be perished. It will not stay on forever. So it is not sat. We see it in front of us. So it is not something which is imaginary. It is not something which is not in existence at all. So it is not asat. So it is mithya. So everything in our world, look at everything around you. Everything is only a mithya. Nothing is permanent and nothing is imaginary. Because you see it in front of you and you know for a fact that it is not permanent. So it becomes mithya. It is an illusion. Our generation has not seen fax, but many others would have seen fax machine. What was new to the elder generation might be very old and obsolete for us. What is new to us might be obsolete for the next generation. What was old to the elder generation might be something which was new to the previous generation. So it goes on like this. So there is never a thing which is permanent in this world. Everything around us can be perished. And since we see it, since we feel it, since it is there, since it is in existence, it is not asat also. So everything apart from sat or asat, sat asat vilakshanam becomes maya, mithya, illusion. There are many examples for it. In fact, this maya can be of two types. Ajnanam and anyatha jnanam. Ajnanam, ignorance. We might not know about it. We might be totally unaware of it. And the second is anyatha jnanam. We perceive certain things to be in a certain way, but it is actually not in that way. Like how we saw snake in rope. Like how we saw milk in a mixture of water and flour. Like how we saw gem in a piece of stone or glass. Like how we saw silver in oyster shells. Like how we saw water in a mirage. So, all these are anyatha jnanam, and it also becomes adhyasa. Atasmit tad buddhihi. We perceive something else in the place of something else. We perceive it totally differently. So, ajnanam and anyatha jnanam. Of these, anyatha jnanam is very, very dangerous. Because if we have ajnanam, someone can come and teach us the right thing from the beginning. But if we have anyatha jnanam, then it becomes very dangerous, because writing in a new notebook is very easy than erasing everything and writing again. Writing afresh is easy than rewriting. So, ajnanam is better than anyatha jnanam. And this anyatha jnanam is very, very dangerous, because we perceive certain things to be in an entirely different way than how it is to be perceived. There are many examples for it. Hastamalakar, one of the most senior and devoted shishyas of Adi Shankaracharya, says in his Hastamalaka Stotram, Ghanachanna drishtihi ghanachanna markam yatha nishprabham manyate chati mudhah tatha baddha badbhati yo mudha drishtehe sa nityopalabdhihi swarupohamatma. He says, when a person looks at the sun, he finds it to be very bright. Now let us say, for example, that clouds have come. Clouds have covered the sun. Then the same person, if he is extremely foolish and idiotic, he would say that the brightness of sun has reduced. Or, if that person has a clouded vision, as he grows up, he might get some vision problem. So he might say that the sun's brightness has come down. Sun's luster has come down. What would people around him say? They will only say that this person is foolish. What else can they say? So, a person with a clouded vision might find the sun to be less bright. A person with a clouded vision might find the sun to be less luminous. In the same way, Nija Rupam and mind. We have the Atma in us. We have the Jnanam in us. We should find Paramatma in us, the Nija Rupam. But our mind does not go behind it. There is something in between. Even if there is a speck of Ajnanam in between, then we will not be able to find out the Nija Rupam. We will not be able to discover ourselves. We will not be able to get Atma Jnanam. So even a speck of Ajnanam can drastically pull us down. This speck of Ajnanam is like having a small problem in our vision. Even if it is clouded by a small extent, we might say that the sun is less lustrous. In the same way, even if we have one small speck of Ajnanam, we might start telling that the Nija Rupam is not there, or we might not experience, we might not have the Anubhuti of our own self. We might not realize our Tattvam. We might not realize Atma Jnanam. So this Ajnanam, this Anyatha Jnanam, this Maya will keep us away from reality, truth. This is also like another example which Akrura quotes in Bhagavatam. He says, Yatha abudho jalam hitva pratichannam tadudbhavaihi abhyeti mrigatrishnam vai tadvatvaham paranmukhaha. Akrura says, there is a clean water. The water in that lake is very precious. It's very tasty. It is very cool. It gives us happiness. It has all positive features in it. It is the apt water that we must drink, but it is covered by grass. So what does this person do? Mudhamati, one who does not have knowledge, will go to a mirage and start drinking water. In fact, start eating mud. So he will run there. He will not know that there is a clean water here. Since it's covered by grass, since it's green in color, he cannot perceive the blue beyond the green. He starts imagining a blue somewhere else and he goes behind that mud. He goes behind that sand. So, we must try to see where exactly the truth lies. We must try to perceive the truth. We must try to perceive Sat. And we must not go behind Mithya. We must not go behind Maya. Acharya in Gita Bhashyam gives one more example. He says, Divishta iva aditye kalpitani jalachalanadini mayi kapitani bhutani paramarthato mayina santi. He says, there is a reflection of sun on a lake. The lake is placid. It is very calm. A person looking at the lake says that sun is there in this lake. And when many fishes move or someone else throws a stone in that lake, that image gets destroyed. This Jada Jana, this dull-witted person might say that the sun is being destroyed. He will not understand that the sun is there permanently and there is only a reflection of that sun in this water. So he becomes a dull-witted person. He becomes a mudhamati, a foolish person, says Adi Shankaracharya. In the same way, if we take a pot with clean water and a pot with a very polluted water, we might find the reflection of sun to be very clear in the clean water. But the reflection of sun might not be clear in the water which has got many impurities. So we cannot say that the sun is impure. We cannot say that the sun is not clear. If we say so, then there cannot be a foolish person than us. So what is the tattva behind all these? Don't go behind Brahm. What you see is not real. There is something beyond that. In company law, we say lifting of corporate wheel. So in the same way, lift the wheel here. Lift the wheel, lift the curtain here. Open the curtain here. You will find Paramatma there on the other side. Because this Maya is controlled by him. He says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. It is impossible to cross this Maya. It is not very easy for us to cut this curtain and see Paramatma. We cannot see it with our normal vision. We should have Divya vision. We should have pure heart, pure mind, pure intellect, pure senses. Only if this entire body is very pure, only if this mind is pure, only then we will get Atma Jnanam. And only when that is lit, Jnana Deepena Bhasvata. Shri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I will give the Jnana Deepam. And once when that light is lit, then he will be able to see me in everything. He will start understanding that this is only a reflection. This is not the sun. He will start understanding that this is only a lake which has the reflection of the sun. And this is not the sun itself. So, we must go behind that which is permanent, which is Sat. Now, in this shloka, why has Adi Shankaracharya explained Brahm by giving so many examples? What is he trying to convey? He says, Tatha deva bhrantya bhajati bhavadanyam jadajano mahadevesham tvam manasi cha matva pashupate. Hey Pashupate, everyone in this world are dull-witted, jada janaha. So you are only Pashupati, you should only give them the Jnanam. Pashupate, give them the Jnanam that you are Mahadeva. Give them the Jnanam that you are the Devadi Deva, Aparichinna Swaprakasha Swarupa. Tell them that you are the most lustrous, luminous one. Tell them that you are permanent. Tell them that you are Sat. Because Tatha Deva Bhrantya Bhajati Bhavadanyam Jadajano. These Jadajanaha, these dull-witted people run behind other devas thinking that they are real. They fail to understand that you are real. They fail to understand that you are permanent. They see a reflection of you in them and they think that these people are permanent. Even in the 4th shloka, Adi Shankaracharya says, Sahasram vartante jagati vibudhaha kshudra phaladaha. They only give trifling rewards. They only give temporary rewards, temporary happiness. But without knowing this, everyone is running behind the other devatas. Bhagavan, Paramatma, Parameshwara is that Brahman. He is the Purnam. And everyone other than Paramatma becomes only a subset. He is the full, complete set. And other devatas become a subset of that set. They have one quality of Paramatma. And with that one quality, or with those powers, small, meager powers, they project as though they are Paramatma. We also perceive them to be Paramatma. We perceive them to be permanent. But that should not be the case. We should not consider them to be permanent. They can never be permanent. Paramatma has given some powers to them. Of course, he has not given us those powers. He has given the other devatas some powers. But that doesn't mean that they are all powerful. If we have this Sat Asat Vilakshanam concept again, if we test that, we will find that these devas, other deities are not permanent. They have just derived their powers from Paramatma. So when they derive their powers, they will not be there permanently. So Sat Vilakshanam. They are in existence, so they do not become imagination. They are not Asat Vilakshanam also, so they only become Mithya. Now, we might have a question. We might have 2 to 3 questions here. If we offer our namaskarams to the devas, Anya devas, and if they are only a subset of the whole set, then if we offer it to this subset, will it not reach the whole set? If this is done, if we are able to offer our namaskarams to some other deva, will it not be construed as a namaskaram or offering that we offer to Paramatma? Here, just now we proved that devas are mithya. So we must always hold on to something which is permanent. When we are traveling in a bus, and that too a public transport, we all know how congested a public transport could be, or how often a public transport or the bus driver will apply his brake. So we need to hold on to something. Our life is always not very smooth. It might have ups and downs, like how we travel in a bus, and we might not get a place to sit also. Most of the times we will be standing. We might have to stand, and nobody will give us place also. So imagining that, let us say that we are traveling in a bus. We have to hold on to something to travel comfortably. What do we hold on to? What do we catch hold of? Should we catch hold of the rod which is placed in the bus, or should we catch hold of one more person who is himself not stable? Whom should we catch hold of? We should catch hold of the rod to remain stable. If we have to travel comfortably, we should catch hold of the rod. But if we want to trip and fall down, we can hold the other person who is himself unstable. So in the same way, we know that the devas are not permanent. Mithya. If they are not permanent, then definitely they will be perished someday or the other. There is another fact. We say Indra, Brahma. Brahma Padavi, Indra Padavi. Indra is a status. Brahma is a status. Like how we say Chief Minister, Prime Minister, President. In the same way, Indra is a status. Brahma is a status that is given. And Bhagavatam clearly explains that the person who would be taking up that position keeps changing. That Padavi, that status might be constant. We might say that this judicial structure, this administrative structure has Chief Minister, Prime Minister, President, if it's administrative, or judges, Chief Justice, and other lawyers, if it's a judicial structure. So we might say that this is the structure, but the person taking up that post might keep changing again and again, constantly. So in the same way, Indra is a Padavi, Brahma is a Padavi, and the person occupying that position keeps changing. This Brahma or Indra is not constant. They keep changing. And this is given in Bhagavatam also. So, when we know that they are constantly changing, when we know that they are not permanent, why should we hold on to them in the first case? We should hold on to something which is permanent. We should hold on to Paramatma Tattva. We must catch hold of Parabrahman. Why are we holding someone else who is just a reflection of that Paramatma Tattva? If that person has to perish, then that person will perish. What will we do after that? Will we search for another Devata? Will we go in search of another deity? Instead, focus on that deity. Focus on that Tattvam which is constant. Focus on Paramatma. Focus on Paramashiva. And This Paramatma Tattvam, this Parabrahma Swarupam has taken the form of Parameshwara. Shivaha, Shivaha, Shivaschaiva, Nanyadasti iti Kinchana. Lord Shiva is the Paramatma Swarupam. He is the Paramatma. He is the Parabrahman. Then why should we go in search of Anya Devatas? Tatha Deva Bhrantya Bhajati Bhavad Anyam Jadajanaha. These Jadajanaha, these dull-witted people, go to someone else apart from you. Bhavad Anyam Jadajanaha Mahadevesham Tvam Manasi Chanda Matva. They don't think of you. They don't place you in their mind. And they go to someone else. What else can be done to them? Only you can protect them. So, there is no use in going behind other deities. Now, one more question that we might have is, there is a shloka in Gita in which Gitacharya says, Yepyanya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajantyavidhi purvakam. How many other devas are there? How many other deities are there? Offer your namaskarams to them. Yepi anya devataha bhaktaha yajante shraddhayanvitaha. If they offer their namaskarams to that deity with shraddha, that also comes to me. Te api mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. So even if they offer their namaskarams to them, it comes back to me ultimately. So, let them pray any other deity. Let them offer their namaskarams to some other deity. I will happily accept it. Since Gitacharya has told us, can we offer our namaskarams to some other deity? Now here, this is the question. It is given in Gita itself. Then why should we not offer our namaskarams to someone else? To all the other deities? We have a famous shloka which says, Akashat patitam toyam yatha gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskaram keshavam prati gacchati. Like how the water that falls from the clouds ultimately reach the ocean. In the same way, even if we offer our namaskarams to all the other devatas, it will ultimately reach Keshavam. Keshavam prati gacchati. Sarvadeva namaskaram Keshavam prati gacchati. It goes to Keshava only. So this being the case, why should we think about Parameshwara or Keshava? Both of them have taken the Saguna Swarupam, but both of them are the Nirguna Brahman. No doubt. So, why should we offer our namaskarams to Keshava, Narayana, Parameshwara, Parashakti? Why should we even offer our pujas to them? Here, in this shloka itself, Shri Krishna says, Avidhi Purvakam. They can offer. They will definitely get the desired results. Their offerings will come to me. Of course, yes. But this is not the right way. Avidhi Purvakam. This is not the apt way. They have misconceived certain things. They have misunderstood certain things. What is this misunderstanding? In Bhagavatam it is said, Yatha taror mula nishechanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujena shakhaihi pranopaharacha yathendriyanam tathaiva sarvarhanam achyutejya. It says, Yatha taror mula nishechanena tripyanti tat skandha bhujaha bhujopashakhaihi. If we put some water in the roots, it automatically nourishes the trunk, the branches, the twigs, the leaves, the flowers, the fruits, everything in that tree. If we have food, if we have intake of food, then it nourishes our senses and the parts of our body. Pranopaharacha yathendriyanam. So if we eat, we become healthy, we become happy. We lead a healthy life, we are able to do many things. The same way, tathaiva sarvarhanam achyutejya. If we offer everything to Achyuta, Parameshwara, then ultimately it nourishes everyone who are a part of Parameshwara. Parameshwara is the root. Aham bija pradapita. He is the seed, He is the root. He has already mentioned it in Gita. Aham bija pradah pita. He has also told Adyam in the third shloka. Adyam. He is the first and foremost of creation. He is the root of this entire world. So if we offer our namaskarams, if we offer water for that root, then ultimately all the branches, sub-branches, trunk, leaves, flowers, fruit gets nourishment. So if we offer our namaskarams to Parameshwara, it automatically reaches the other devatas. So Krishna says avidhi purvakam, without understanding this concept. Everyone is offering their namaskarams only to the other devatas. So this is not going to help them. They can do it. They will definitely get benefit. But it will be very meager. It will be something which is not constant. Which will not be permanent. What will give them permanent happiness? Namaskarams and placing the heart, mind, soul, buddhi and senses in the lotus feet of Paramashiva will only give them Paramanandam. This is explained with the help of an example. A person builds a house. He is very happy by staying in that house because it is his house. He has a shelter. He has money to feed himself and he is happily living because it's a very, very nice house. He can say to people that he has his own house with a car park and with garden, with many servants. He is very happy and very contented. But later, he comes to know that there is a treasure in that land where he has built his house. Will he not feel extremely happy? Will he not get extra happiness? He remains happy. He is contented by staying in the house. But if he comes to know that there is a treasure below that house in that ground, will he not feel extremely happy? Will he not feel that he is protected? Even if his wealth gets drained out, he has something else to protect him, something else to save him. Will that not give him extreme happiness and a sense of permanent happiness? In the same way, offering our namaskarams to devas and other deities will give us happiness. If we want to get extremely good marks, it will give us good marks. If we want to achieve something, if we want to achieve a position, it will give us position. If we want more wealth, it will give us wealth. If we want fame, it will give us fame. If we want victory, it will give us victory. Everything will be there. But what next? What next? What next? Our mind keeps jumping. What next? What next? What next? It keeps going. So we cannot put an end to that desire. But if we have Paramanandam, if we realize Atma Tattvam, if we realize Paramanandam, then we might not feel like going ahead. We might just want to sit there, enjoy that completely and happily lead our life. We will not feel like going to anything else. This will give us ultimate joy. This will give us ultimate happiness. And this cannot be replaced by anything. This is that Anandam which we realize by realizing our own self. This is the Paramanandam. This is the Anandam that we get by listening to the greatness of Lord Shiva, by understanding Him, by placing Him in our mind. And thus, this wave is called Shivananda Lahari. Once a person gets this wave, once a person tastes this, he will not feel like moving ahead. This is the tip. Beyond this, he cannot go. This is the epitome. Beyond this, a person cannot perceive anything. So, this is the Shivananda Lahari, which everyone must realize. Everyone must have an anubhuti of this to lead a peaceful life. And only if we understand that Shivananda Lahari is the permanent Lahari that we have to experience, only then will this Maya, Mithya move away from us and we will start worshipping only Lord Shiva. There is no point in going behind Alpa Sukham. There is no point in going behind trivial happiness. Gopala Krishna Bharati himself tells this in a very famous Kirtanam. He sings, Alpa Sukhatai Ninaindo Arantiruvadi Marando. Alpa Sukhatai Ninaindo Arantiruvadi Marando. Kalpita Maya Prapanchamide Kanal Neer Pole Yanni. Kalpita Maya Prapanchamide Kanal Neer Pole Yanni. Shivaloka Nathanai Kandu Sevittiduvom Vari. Shivaloka Nathanai Kandu Sevittiduvom Vari. He says, Alpa Sukhatai Ninaindo. We kept focusing on things which are trivial. Aran Tiruvadi Marando. We forgot his lotus feet. Kalpita Maya Prapanchamidai. He says, this entire world is a mithya. Kalpita Maya Prapancham. Maya Prapancham. Idai Kanal Neer Pole Yenni Shivalokanathane Kande Sevittiduvom. Let us all consider this to be a mirage. Let us all consider this to be an illusion. Let us go beyond this. There is something beyond this. So let us go and see Shivalokanatha. Shivalokanathane Kande Sevittiduvom Vari. Let us go to him. Let us see him. Let us bow down to him. Let us sing about him. Let us hear about him. Let us constantly meditate upon him. Shivalokanathane Kande Sevittiduvom Vari, says Gopala Krishna Bharati in Nandanar Charitra. How do we get this knowledge? Bhagavan says, Mama Maya Duratyaya. But we need someone to come and say that this is mithya. We need someone to come and switch on the light and say that this is only a rope and not a snake. We need someone to wake us up from our sleep and say that it was only a dream. Who is that person? Shri Krishna says in the same shloka, Mama Maya Duratyaya. Of course, it is very difficult to cross this Maya. Mam eva ye prapadyante Maya metam tarantite. Those who bow down at my feet, those who surrender at my lotus feet, Mam eva ye prapadyante sarvadharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. He has been stressing on this point again and again. Mam eva ye prapadyante, who come to me believing that I am the only Paramatma Swarupam, I am the only Brahman, I am the only person who can save them. Maya metam tarantite. They will easily cross this Maya. They can easily come out of this situation. They can easily cross this, says Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. There is another shloka which says, Paramatmaita Vijnanam Kripaya Vai Dadhati Yaha Saumya Guruhu Sakshat Shiva Eva Na Samshayaha. If someone has to come and give us this knowledge, this Upadesham of Atma Jnanam can be done only by a Guru. Krishna, Gitacharya is the Guru, Parama Guru. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. And in the other shloka, Paramadvaita Vijnanam Kripaya Vai Dadhati Yaha Saumya Guruhu Guru Sakshat Shiva Eva Na Samshayaha. And if this jnana has to flow to us, if this jnana has to come to us, it should come only through a Guru. And this Guru is none other than Saumya Guruhu, none other than Dakshinamurti, none other than Shiva, who is the embodiment of auspiciousness. He is the only one who can give us knowledge. He is the only one who can give us this Upadesham of Atma Jnanam. Without knowing this, Moodha Janaha go in search of Anya Devata. Shiva eva na samshayah. Saumya Guruhu Guru Sakshat. Shiva eva na samshayah. He is the ultimate Paramatma, Brahman. He is that person whom we all have to attain. Without knowing this, we all search for other Devatas. And that is why Adi Shankaracharya in Shivananda Lahari 8th shloka says, Pashupate. We are not led by a proper guru. We are not led by a proper leader. We all have illusion. Please guide us. Please take us forward. We don't know what is right and wrong. We don't know what is happening in our life. We have submitted ourselves to you. We have surrendered completely at your lotus feet. So you should take us forward. You should ensure that we attain you. In fact, we are all extremely blessed. And we keep thinking about this blessing. We consider ourselves to be blessed almost every week. Because every single week, somehow he keeps reminding us that only because of him we have got this satsangam, and only because of him we are able to speak and hear about his greatness. Otherwise, we cannot do it on our own. We can definitely not accomplish this if we think that it is because of us. He wants us to hear. He wants us to speak. He wants us to meditate. He wants us to concentrate. So, only because of him, only because of a guru, we can get this jnanam. And this upadesham of this jnanam will be given only by Saumya Guru Sakshat Shiva eva na samshayah. It can be given to us only by Shiva, who is the Parama Guru, who is the Saumya Guru, who always takes care of us. He is the Paramatma and the Guru. Only he can protect us. And this is the message which Adi Shankaracharya gives us through the 8th shloka of Shivananda Lahari. In the 9th shloka of Shivananda Lahari, Adi Shankaracharya sings, Gabhire kasare vishati vijane ghora vipine vishale shaile ch bhramati kusumartham jadamatihi samarpyaikam chetas sarasijam umanatha bhavate sukhanavasthatum janaiha na janati kimaho. Gabhire kasare vishati vijane ghora vipine vishale shaile ch bhramati kusumartham jadamatihi samarpyaikam chetas sarasijam umanatha bhavate sukhena avasthatum janaiha na janati kimaho. He says, Jadamatihi. People around me are dull-witted. Again, these people do not understand the real tattva. Now, knowing that you are the Paramatma, they want to offer something which is extremely invaluable. According to them, in this world, everything that has a price tag becomes extremely valuable. But they fail to understand that there are things beyond price tag money. They search for precious things in deep lakes. They enter deep lakes. They keep roaming in dense forests, lonely forests. They keep roaming in huge mountains for something that is precious, according to them, according to these dull-witted people. But they fail to understand that even if they offer the most precious and expensive thing in this entire world to you, without offering their mind, then it all goes into the dream. No use can be derived out of it. There is no point in giving that expensive thing without giving their mind. So, they fail to understand that samarpyaikam chetah sarasigam Umanatha bhavate. Oh Umanatha, they fail to realize that they have a flower in their heart. And that Hridi, that lake has a flower, and this flower is their mind. Sukhenavasthatum janaiha na janati kimaho. Without offering that to you, they keep moving here and there restlessly, searching for the most expensive thing. But instead, they can give their heart to you. If a person gives an expensive thing without giving heart, without giving his mind, then it is of no use. Even if a person offers Unmatta flower, and by completely offering his mind, then Lord Shiva will accept it completely, 100%, and he will give that bhakta mukti also. Eka bilvam Shivarpanam is what he is expecting from all of us. Just one bilvam. That doesn't mean that you have only one bilvam. You will just throw it on Lord Shiva. No. Give one bilvam. That is enough. But ensure that you give it with bhakti. Bhakti is what he is expecting. Your mana, your mind is what he is expecting. And when you submit it to him, he becomes extremely happy, and that is the best puja that you can ever imagine. So, let us try to focus our mind. Let us try to divert all our energies towards Lord Shiva. Let us keep practicing as and when possible. And let us all pray that he blesses us with satsangam every week and more often, so that we get a chance to think about him constantly and ultimately attain him. Hara Namah Parvati Patage, Hara Hara Mahadeva, Adi Parashakti Mata Ki Jai, Samasta Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai, Veera Dheera Shura Parakrama Anjaneya Swami Ki Jai. தென்னாட்டுடைய சிவனே போற்றி, எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம்.